hello, and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth, and we have a great show for you. It's our last show for 2024, show number 230, and my guest is crazy. He's a he's a Manic Hispanic Tommy Morin going to be with us. We're going to laugh, I guarantee you. But we're going to talk life, we're going to talk ministry, and we're going to encourage you. I know we're going to do that. So go get your friends ready. Get in, call your parole officer, tell them you're going to be home for a while. Get your, you know, uh, ankle bracelet set up, change the battery on it, because we're going to laugh. We're going to have fun. So I'll see you in just hang in there, and we will have the Laughter for All podcast.
Welcome to Laughter for All. It's the podcast with Comedian Nazareth.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth, and this is December 17th, people, already 2024, and we're closing the year. This is our last show for this year, and what better than to have a funny guy? We just became friends within 2 minutes. That's all it took. I've never met the guy before. I heard his name. He's been all over. Yes, but let me. I'm going to introduce him in a second. But first, let me tell you what happened this last week. I just got back yesterday from. I was in Illinois. I was on Friday night. I was in Arthur, Illinois. I was with the Amish people. Yes, I did a big company corporation in Arthur, Illinois, and lots of Amish and Mennonites, lovely people, nicest people in the world. We had a great time. Really had a great time with them. And then you guys want to hear what happened? This is, sometimes people say don't believe in miracles. Let me tell you what happened. So anyway, so I fly into Indianapolis and I drive 2.5 hours, and I'm staying at a hotel in Arthur called the Country Inn in Arthur, Illinois. So what happened is, it's a small one of those, like the rooms on the outside, only like 12 rooms in the whole, one story motel, So anyway, so when I called them, they said, "Oh, we close early, but if you're coming later than 8:39, we're gonna leave a key in a box next to the ice machine." Well, the minute they said ice machine and it's 20 degrees going to be out in there, which is evacuation weather for Californians, I got nervous. I'm like, ice machine, I'm going to go into the ice machine. She goes, no. It's called the ice machine room, and it's not that cold. Well, it's warmer in the ice machine than it was outside, people. It was freezing outside. So anyway, so they give me the code. They said, get the code. You take room number, 16, and then you're in. I go, good. That's easy. I can do that. So I drove 2.5 hours. I'm going this right lane, one lane roads. Nobody's around. Nothing is around. And then I get to Arthur, Illinois. I see the motel. I get in. I see ice machine room. I park next to it. I get out. I put the code. I open the box. It has the key, but it says room 15. I go, yeah, they made a mistake. So I look. There's no other cars but one truck parked in front of room 15. I'm not making this up. So I go, maybe he's in the other room. So I open the door, and the lock, guys, put that, that middle lock. Oh, and the guy was sleeping, and it didn't, you know what? I shut it right off, went back in the car, went around to the ice machine room, I'm like, maybe I made a mistake. I look on the floor. I'm like, is there any other key? I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I called my wife. I said, honey, I'm stuck here and there's nothing I can do. And she goes, why don't you sleep in the car or find another hotel? I'm like, there's no other hotels within 10 miles, but I guess that's what can happen. All of a sudden, while I'm sitting there, I'm like, God, what am I going to do? This car pulls right in front of the office of that motel. And a lady comes out. So in that time, before she gets there, I called hotel.com. I called the hotel and I got a message. The answering machine were closed. So the lady comes out. So I get out of my car. She gets scared. Like, why is this guy in front of the office at midnight? So I go, oh, you got my message. She goes, what message? I go, you work here. She goes, yeah, I'm the cleaning lady and I forgot something in the office. I go, you mean you didn't get my message? Nobody told you to come? She goes, no, I just forgot something. I just wanted to pick it up tonight. I'm like, oh my Lord, you're an angel. God send you because this is what happened. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry, honey. So she gave me the room 17. I go, I don't want to be close to that man. He's going to wake up and kill me because I opened the door in his room. So anyway, they put me in another room and everything was great. They won't even charge me for the 2 nights I was there. They were nice. But anyway, did this show Saturday morning. I had one of those nice Amish people, and he had a buggy and the buggy and the horse, and he took me for a ride around town, and you can see it on my Instagram or on my Facebook or TikTok. And what happened is he took. We did. I told him I want coffee, and we need to go to the drive-through. So we went to a drive-through in the horse and buggy, and I forgot my wallet in my car. So the guy was going to pay for it. I'm like, no, 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 no. So I used Apple Pay, people. Apple Pay in a horse and buggy at a Amish drive through, and they took it. They took the Apple Pay. That was it. And then Sunday morning, so anyway, I drove to Kankakee. Sunday morning, I spoke at my great friend Andy Hansen's church, Open Bible Center, 200 people. It was great, awesome. And then I flew back home. All right, that's it. Enough, too much. The man is waiting. He's from Boston. He's probably going to shoot us all. Anyway, he's half Italian, so I got to be careful. Guys, Tommy Morin, this guy's been funny. He is so funny. He's been all over the world, all over the country. And his special dry bar special is coming up. I listened to just a few minutes, man. He's hilarious. So please join me with my new friend, Tommy Morin, the Manic Hispanic. Hello, my friend.
How are you, Nazareth? Good to
Uh,
see you, man.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I have to
No, you
share
know
this
what?
story.
It's an amazing story because I actually was in Illinois right around the same. It had to be about the same time as you were, and
Last weekend.
I'm staying at this hotel,
Uh huh.
and it's got to be like probably like 9, 12. I don't remember. I was sound asleep, and all of a sudden I hear somebody trying to get in my room. It's
Really?
crazy. I was in room number 15. I'll never forget it.
You know
And
that
one
I
thing
heard
led
about
to
these stories.
another.
I never believe it.
One thing led to another, and I never heard from whatever was happening. But it was a great. I was in what was called the ice room. I don't know if you're familiar with
No,
that.
never been
No,
there.
never heard of. No, it was
Never.
amazing, amazing
Yeah.
little town. How
Wow.
are you, man?
How great! It's horrible that people walk into your room in the middle of the night.
I
I
mean,
hope to
it's
God I would
locked.
never
You
do that.
think you've had some security, some type of comfort knowing I'm safe in the middle of an Amish town. And who knew a Middle Eastern comic would show up in the middle of the night to disturb me? But
Because
here we are now, face to face.
my next option was to knock on the guy again. Hey, I'll pay half of the room. Can I sleep next to you? It's kind of cold and out there.
And hopefully not saying, yeah, can I see you for a minute? Could you just give me a hug? Because I had a
Yeah,
nightmare.
and the song "Baby It's Cold Outside." I'll just play it from my. It's funny how some people sometimes they go. I always stay in hotels. People say, "Oh, can you stay at our home or stay at the?" No, no, no. I stay
Yeah,
at hotels because one time, long time ago, true story. And I know I want to hear a story from crazy stuff that happened to you on the road. But one time I stayed at a pastor's house long time ago, and in the
yeah,
morning I took a shower in their kids' bathroom, in the shower, and instead
yeah.
of using shampoo, I put Nair. I didn't know what Nair was back then. I didn't know Nair. What's Nair for? It was his daughter's thing, whatever. So I put it in my hair, and
No, you did not.
I did. I trust me. Hey, it
And
never
so
goes back.
it stayed that way.
It
It stayed
stayed
this.
that.
It hasn't
That way.
changed. No,
Tell me,
no.
tell me a story. What happened? Has ever anything crazy happened to you on the road? I know you travel a lot,
Has anything happened crazy on the road? But
but you
this is
remember.
a this is a family show. This is
No, no, no,
there
no,
is
no, no.
no.
Yeah,
This is
you're a
not.
Christian.
I There's several stories I cannot. No, we'll have to do that at another time. But yes, there were quite a few. Not not one of them is happening right now in this time
We're
slot.
not
None.
talking about it.
Zero.
Okay.
No,
Good.
nothing. No. No, no, no.
So tell me, you're half Italian, half Mexican?
I'm half Italian, half Hispanic. I was born in Panama, My father
Oh,
was in the service. We wound up coming to the country back in 1964. I was about 6 months old. My father used to teach English at in what was called the Panama Canal Zone at a
uh-huh.
military base. He would teach English to the Spanish soldiers in Panama. And
Wow.
so he met my mother at a dance, very officer and a gentleman type moment. And they fell in love. They got married. And the next thing you know, I started my life in Jersey, right on the Hudson River, right across from New York City. I spent about 12 years of my formative years living along the Hudson,
Mm.
and then moved to New England shortly afterwards. And I've been in New England for about a little less than 40 years now.
So now, when did you start your comedy?
So that was 1988, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far
Mm.
away. Um, and I started in a comedy team actually with a gentleman by the name of Steve Cato. We went by the username of Cato and Morin,
Uh-huh.
and we wound up starting in Providence, made our way to Boston, made our way to New York, and then shortly after, at the pinnacle, the height of just so much, everything happened so fast at lightning speed. I ran into a brick wall on March 15th, 1992. His name was Jesus, and it changed everything.
Okay, well, we want to get to Jesus. I said I want to get to your partner, your comedy partner first.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so your first, so you never, before you even went on stage by yourself and did jokes, you kind of
Yes.
you and this guy decided like, hey, we're gonna do stuff. What did you guys? Did you do like juggling, props? What did you do?
So I'm 6 feet tall. My partner looked a lot like Richard Dreyfuss, and he was about 5'3", 5'4". And so here I am. It's the late '80s. I've got my hair is aquanetted up. It's 4 feet up in the air. I look like a Puerto Rican kid in play. I've got on a motorcycle jacket, black motorcycle, black T-shirt, black jeans, black pointy cowboy boots with the little steel tip on the front. And my partner's dressed like he's a professor. And so that was the image when we walked up on
Mm,
stage. So
I see.
we were prop comics at first, and we did commercials, we did movies, we did some of the local stuff that was happening in the area, and then parodies on just about everything. We were open micers for 6 months. Entered into a competition called the Johnny Walker Talent Search, which was a national competition put on by Johnny Walker, the alcohol, and also Evening at the Improv. So
Mm,
between Bud Friedman and the Johnny Walker, they did what was the precursor to Last Comic Standing.
right.
So they would travel all over the country, and we wound up entering this competition at literally basic open micers with 5, 10, maybe 11 minutes tops of
Wow.
material. And we entered into this competition, 106 comics. We came in third, and the rest was history. And we were catapulted into this position of not just open mics anymore. We went from open mic to middling, not even opening act, right to what today is called the feature, and
Feature act.
then right into headlining, all within 6 months after that competition.
So how
So
did you
by
guys
the end,
come up
so
with
from
material?
the day that I started doing stand up, a year later, I was headlining in Boston.
Now, how did you guys come up with material that fast? I mean, to be able
Uh,
to go, that's a that's the death of a comic when you take them from 3 minutes that they have and they've been working on it for 3 4 months,
right.
and now you put them, yeah, they have to do 45 to an hour.
We would stay up all week long till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, videotaping, and try to come up with new material. And then whatever we didn't have, we would fill it in on the fly on stage. And
Right.
so it just was this bombastic, high energy, moving moment where the train didn't stop. It just kind of evolved into. I will tell you this: the first show that we did. So here we are headlining in Boston, and it was the boom, right? It was 1988.
Hmm.
Uh, Boston was just jumping with stand up. I mean, and the country was. And so we wanted to go into New York, our first weekend in New York City, right? Now,
Yeah.
we had a friend of ours who was managing a whole bunch of people. and actually to this day, still dear friends, probably one of the best managers on the planet. Shout out to my dear friend Barry Katz, who was the
Oh,
executive producer of Last Comic Standing, and actually took the time several months ago and actually walked me through my Huckabee set. We spent about an hour and a half on the telephone, and he's just an amazing friend.
Barry
Always has been
Katz.
with
Yeah, I've
me.
heard the name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just an amazing guy. So I promised him I was going to give him a shout out tonight. So there it is. Um,
yeah.
so we wound up going to New York, and he actually ran what was called the Boston Comedy Club. And
Okay.
so we wound up headlining that weekend at the Boston Comedy Club. And then a few blocks over was a place called um, oh my gosh, now the Village Gate.
Mm.
So the Village Gate was this amazing place for performance and theater and stand up. And so, and it was iconic at the time because everybody had performed at the Village Gate.
I think Leno used
From
to be. He came out of Boston, right? Jay Leno.
Yes, he came out of Andover actually, which is north
And
of Boston. And so so back in the day you would run from one club to the next. So you
right,
do your first show. You remember your
sure,
first show? You would be a 7 o'clock show, and then you'd run 2 blocks down. You'd be at the 8 o'clock show, and then 2 blocks back, and you do that Friday and Saturday night. So Friday night you do like 6 shows. Saturday night you do like seven. So your night starts at 7. It ends at like 2, and
right,
you're getting $50 a show. But if you do that many shows, you make a little bit of money over the weekend.
right.
So we wound up doing the Village Gate, and then we go to the Boston Comedy Club, the Village Gate, the Boston Comedy Club. This is the first time headlining in New York City, and we died a miserable,
Ah,
horrible death.
for how long
Show
you had to
after
do? How long?
show, 20 minutes.
Ouch.
Show after show after show after show. It was
Oh,
awful. It was the worst death
were you guys
ever.
blaming each
Ever.
other as duet? I've never had a
No,
duet.
we couldn't figure it out. We had this material that worked solid in Boston, but now we're in this new market, and it's a whole different atmosphere. It's a whole different mindset.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, we're the next day looking at each other. We're going to do it up big, right? So we were staying at the gosh, it was I forget what the name of the hotel was, but it was right in Times Square.
Mm.
And so we thought, oh, okay, this, we're going to come, we're going to crush, we're going to devastate. It's going to be awesome. Yes. We're going to go back to Boston. We kicked the fanny. This was amazing. And we're sitting there Saturday morning going, so we looked at each other and went, so you got any plans for tonight? You got any ideas of what we're going to wind up doing? And we put together this act on the fly for the next
Ooh.
20 minutes and destroyed show after show after show after show. And I remember the manager of the Village Gate went to Barry and said, "Who are they? Where did they come from? And what just happened? Because tonight was nothing like last night. They had a whole new act." And so from then on, everything just kind of started changing. A few months later, we wound up headlining in every club in New York, from Caroline's to Stand Up to the Improv.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
it was that
amazing.
fast, that fast. Yeah, it was
Wow.
great. It was
Now,
a great train.
let me ask you this, and it's amazing. I mean, I was the LA comic. I was, and in
Yeah.
LA every single night, trying from one club to the other. You go from the store to the
Mm.
improv to the cabaret to all that, ice house, but was never in New York. And I always like, if I have to live my life again, I would be a New York comic because it's a little tougher. It's a
It's
different,
tougher.
yes. And so what happened is, I've never had a comedian. I mean, I used to have Alex Valdez and his partner O'Brien and Valdez, if you remember, and the blind guy and the Irish guy. That was the only
No,
duet, and I've never had him on the show. But what is it like to be a comedian, working with another comedian, and your act is dependent on him? Like you guys have to show up to write material. You have to work. Sometimes you think some. Tell me, what is it like to work with another guy? And
we never wrote material.
you never wrote. I hate you.
we wrote
I
we
hate
wrote
you.
we wrote a word on a napkin and then went, okay, let's see what comes out of this. And so that was the basis for every single thing we did. And
Hmm.
so from time to time we would like I said, we would videotape, we would do things on practicing during the week, but it was never anything handwritten, long written out. It was just like bullet points,
Mm.
and then the rest would kind of evolve on stage.
Now, how
So
long? Okay, good. No, no, go ahead. I want to
no,
have
no,
you.
no. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, okay. So you guys, have you guys ever fought together? Fought like, no, I don't want to do
Oh
this.
my gosh, we fought like beasts. Oh, it was awful. When we fought, it was horrible, absolutely horrible. Because we would fight off stage, and then we'd go on stage, and it was like we were the best of friends.
Right.
And so people would come up to us going, "Oh, you guys are the best of friends," and both of us would be like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we are. We're the best of friends.
But
Don't
then
you
your
ever
career
forget
is
that."
dependent on someone else.
Yes, without question. That is exactly what it was. Our career depended on each other. And so even in the middle of, a beef or a disagreement, it was like when you went on stage, that was gone.
Ron.
It did not exist. So, you could put yourself into hyper mode and just, put yourself in and just go, okay, I'm going to do this. This is what I need to get done. And then afterwards, I can hate him again, which would be fantastic because he's the worst human on the planet. But, we were the best of friends. That was the thing too. We hung out together. We played together. We had our same friends. We shared an apartment with another comic. We did everything together. We were the best of friends.
Mm.
And so us doing stand up together was it was just kind of seemed like it was going to happen for
Right.
him, especially because for me, I never wanted to be a stand up. That was never the goal
Really?
in my,
Really?
that was
What was your
never the
goal?
goal in
What was your
my
goal?
goal, my late teens, 19, 18, 18, 19, 20. I wanted to be a mobster.
A what? A mobster.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's tell me about that. What was that like? You have the look and the accent and the
Thank
attitude.
you. Thank you. Which is when you apply for a position with the mob, you actually have to have those few things before you can actually send in the application. So
You mean I won't
I just
qualify for a mobster?
no, maybe an accountant,
What?
maybe
The accountant for them.
yeah, yeah.
No, they already have what's his name? He's already making money and taking gigs away from me. What's his name? The mafia guy that was the accountant and now
Oh,
he's
Michael Francesi.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
So
I lost a couple of
so
gigs for him. I was like,
did you?
really? So you wanted to be now when you were
So
little,
yeah.
you didn't want to be a mobster. Like you don't play with
No,
like
I
people.
never knew. It just kind of existed. My life, I never had like big dreams. I never had like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be this or I'm going to be that or um but like when I was 3 or 4 years old, I would always perform for family dinners. So we'd go to my grandmother's house. There'd be like 30, 40 of us every Sunday at my grandparents' house.
Right.
And I would be in the middle of the living room with my grandfather's coat and his hat on, and I would be putting on these shows. And they would all be standing there watching. And I'm like, what is that? Everybody just seems to be having a great time. And I would do John Wayne as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old.
Oh
John
my
Wayne,
lord.
I would do Charlie Chaplin. And I was exposed early on. My father said, my father was a college professor. So when I told him I wanted to be a stand-up comic, he was so excited.
Sure.
So, oh yeah, very elated, elated.
Well,
He's
the
like,
other option was mobster. So yeah, of
well,
course
can
he
you
was
can you
happy.
see the angst in
Yeah,
my
I
neck?
did. I did. I did. I did.
Elated.
I'm watching
So
for
I'm
your
actually
veins just in case.
so
Ah,
so as a child, I'm doing these little shows every weekend, and my relatives are having a great time, but my dad didn't want me to watch regular television, so I wound up watching PBS as a child,
right.
and that's when I was introduced to Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, um, the Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Jerry Lewis, all
Okay.
black and white. And I was like, wow, what am I watching? This is amazing. And then when I started performing for my family, that's where I got the influence from.
Mm.
So I just took from the greatest minds in stand up ever in comedy and just translated into like a 4-year-old putting on a little show for his family. And they thought I
Okay.
was a genius. They thought I was brilliant. So But then after that, years go by and you're just kind of enjoying life and things are happening. Life is going on. And then I wound up meeting some people who I thought were like royalty with shark skin suits and beautiful jet black hair and driving big cars and had a lot of money. And I went, oh, yeah,
That's
that's
it.
that's it. I think we have arrived finally. And so, time went on, and I wound up going out to California. My mom was out in California. I met some people there who embraced me. Came back to the East Coast, met some people in the New England area, especially in Providence, who embraced me, who were living in that life. And I went, oh, this is what I want to do. And then things started getting a little dark, to say the least. And I've got a bag full of regrets as far as some of the things that I did and some of the things I wish I didn't.
Also,
Um,
you were a little bit with the
I,
mobs,
I
right?
was I was kind of, yeah, I was making my way in. I had a collecting job once a week. I would go to different stores and different offices, and I would pick up a little cash and what seemed to be cash, and I would never looked in these little bags, and I would put them in a large grocery bag, and the next thing you know, I would go and drop them off at a little Italian club, and I would get paid $500 a week. That was my summer job. And
Oh,
so I was like, this is a great summer job. This is
yes.
so much better than working at Stop and Shop. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, but same
So,
grocery bag though.
same grocery bag, the exact same thing. No handles, no
No,
handles. That was later on.
you
No,
know,
no handles. Old
I had
school.
a
I went
guy
old
on
school.
I had a guy on my podcast. He was a manager of Strawberry, Dare Strawberry. His name is John Lupo, and he was a
Wow.
mobster and came to
Wow.
Christ and stuff. So, what got you out of that lifestyle?
So somebody had told me, okay, this is it. I ingratiated myself with this culture and these people, and I'm only half Italian and I'm not Sicilian. So I was probably going to be,
On
a muscle or a
minimum wage.
donkey or a
Minimum wage.
mule. I was never going to go up the ladder. So I wound up, somebody told me, oh, there's this job. Would you be interested in doing this job? And the job required me to go to New York, and I was going to drop off a ton of money, come back, and but the opportunity was, you come back, you're on your own. So I was probably going to have to fight my way out of New York in order to get back to New England.
Mm.
And the light just went off, and I went, you know what? I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. A couple of years go by. The next thing you know, my buddy says, "Hey, would you like to do stand up together?" And I legitimately, we used to make everyone laugh. So all of a sudden, I got my friend who's saying, "We're going to go on stage," and I was like, "To do what?" To go on stage and perform. Like, we make them laugh here at the nightclub. What's the big deal? No, I'm not going. No, we make them laugh at McDonald's. Why do I need to go on stage? I got nothing to prove to nobody.
Yeah.
And so we wound up going on stage. We put together this. He convinced me it was his dream. He really always wanted to be the next Johnny Carson.
Mm.
So we wound up doing this thing. He's my friend. I'm going to help him out. We're going to do this thing. We wound up spending a few 3 or 4 months practicing, rehearsing on like 2 or 3 minutes. We go to this open mic in Providence, Rhode Island, at a place called Periwinkles, which no longer exists. And we wound up doing 3 minutes, and we get a standing ovation. And
Wow.
we're like, oh, hey, that feels nice.
Nice.
Really,
It's
really,
addictive. It's addictive.
yeah, very nice. We rehearsed another 3 minutes. We went back the following week, standing ovation.
Wow.
We rehearsed another 3 minutes, went back the following week, standing ovation. 4 weeks in a row. And that was the end of it.
That was the end of it. And how long
Yeah.
did you guys perform together, you and your partner?
Little over 3.5 years.
And then what happened after that?
So we were about to sign on the dotted line for everything. And Barry Katz at the time was our acting manager. There was nothing ever signed, but he did everything for us. So we did NACA way back when.
Wow.
Um, we did everything, and he made it happen. I'll never forget. He said, "Okay, here's what you guys got to do. You got to go to New York. You got to get your headshots." He wound up taking care of the headshots, and then we paid him off. And it was like slow increments. Never was there any like, "Here's the upfront money. This is what you're going to need." It was always like, "I believe in you guys. I think you guys
Wow.
can do this
That's
thing.
great.
You guys have what it takes." And we were like, "Okay." This is, that's old school management. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Nobody does that. Unless you got like 42,000 followers, 72,000 Instagram, nobody's paying attention to you.
Right.
So that old school management is
Mm.
completely does not exist anymore. He was and still is the best at it. And so we wound up getting all these opportunities that he allowed to happen. He made happen for us, and we just followed through. And about to sign on the dotted line for everything. And this girl that I was dating at the time says to me, "Hey, I want to go to church." And I was like,
Mm.
"To do?" So I said, she says, I was serving the Lord many years ago, and I fell away, and da 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 da. One thing led to another, and I just want to get back. I want to go back, and if you want to come with me, that would be great. Well, here's the really amazing part of God. When God,
Mm.
who has we know invented comedy, sense of
Right.
humor, laughter, joy, he drops this crazy seed that leads up to these amazing moments. And I'll never forget, probably about 3 or 4 months, probably 3 months. It was in the wintertime. So it was 91, just before Christmas, right around this time. And I was at a house party in Times Square. I was 22 stories up, and I was doing everything I shouldn't have been doing. It was like Babylon. There were like comics and models and all this stuff happening. And God was about to drop this amazing seed of faith that I had no idea was about to happen.
Wow.
So I'm dating this girl in Boston, but I'm surrounded by models, and I'm like, this is amazing. And I think I just broke up with my girlfriend. This is fantastic. So I wind up talking to a friend of mine, and I pointed out this gal, and I said, she is breathtaking. Wow. I gotta talk to her, but I just don't have the chutzpah. I can't do it. So he introduced me to her. The next thing you know, the two of us are outside, 22 stories up on a balcony at this huge party. And I looked at her and I said, "Hey, so you don't want to be a model your whole life. What do you want to do?" She goes with this amazing Southern accent, which, by the way, I'm partial to the Southern accent,
Okay.
because I always wanted to hear this first thing in the morning. "Hi, sugar, can I get you a biscuit or a cup of coffee?" Who's not jumping out of bed for that? I want to know who is not starting their day leaping like it's an Olympic event.
What kind of
So
coffee? Yeah. I'm
chock
sorry.
full of nuts,
Oh,
chock full of nuts.
okay. So she has a southern
So
accent. She's a model in New
yeah,
York.
so
Yeah.
and she says, I want to be a gospel singer, and I'm like, what the heck is a gospel singer? I never even heard the word gospel,
Gospel
and I,
before.
and I went and I went to parochial school. I never heard that word in my mind, at least. I never heard it. So then she says, I want to be a contemporary Christian artist. I'm like, lady, I don't even know what language you're talking right now. And she says, I want to sing in churches. And I'm thinking, here's this international model traveling the world who wants to sing in the. I'm picturing her in a church somewhere going, "Do mi sono pore." Like, what? What are you? I don't.
Was that what
Oh.
you're picturing? And 22
In my
stories
mind, in
up
my mind, she's
in your
in my
mind.
mind. She's at. I'm at. We're at
She's an
church, and
angel, huh?
she's doing Gregorian chants and I'm going. This does not make any sense at all. So I go back to New England. Couple days later, my friend calls me. Was at the party with me, and he says, "Dude, I got to tell you something. The girl you met over the weekend, she can't stop talking about you." I'm like, yes, yes, this is awesome.
Boom.
And then he says, "But there's something I have to tell you about her." And I'm like, "Oh my God." You got a picture. It's like 80, it's actually 92 at this time,
Yeah.
right? 91, 92. And we're in New York at some posh party. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I was talking to a dude. "Oh my gosh, I knew it." He says, "No, no, no, worse than that." I'm like, "Worse than that? What?" He says, "She's actually a born again Christian."
Mm.
And I'm like, "What the heck is a born again Christian?" He knew less than me. He goes, "I think she's Amish."
Hey, that's fresh for me.
So, so the next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 months later. I find myself in this tiny little church in this seaside town
With your
on the
ex,
coast of Massachusetts
was your
with
girlfriend
the
an ex?
girl, right?
The
From
model?
no, the other.
The
This is the
other
one
one
who,
you
yeah, the
never
one I
broke
was
up with.
with, yeah,
Yeah,
who I was about to break up with,
but you didn't.
and so I did not. So um, so where I go to this little church service. There's 125 seats in this tiny little church in the middle of nowhere, and there's 11 people in the church, including us. There's nobody there.
Okay.
And I show up with the hair, the leather jacket, 6 feet tall with the boots. And it's the 90s, and she's 5'11". She looks like a model. She's got like this massive head of hair. And here we are. And all of a sudden, the minister says, um, if you would like to receive, if you're visiting with us for the first, Nazareth, I promise you, this is how, whatever ding dong I was. I turn around to see who the visitor was. I'm like this. I wonder who he's talking to. Oh, okay. Never, ever done. So the next thing you know, he says, if you'd like to receive the free gift of God's love, just come forward.
Come forward.
So um, I was already getting sober for the first time in my life.
Mm.
I had the best job ever. I had the girl. I had the money. I had the prestige. My name was in on the marquee at every club in New York, every club in Boston. I had everything I wanted.
Mm.
I had the career that a comic would have cut his arm off for in 3.5 years.
Mm.
And I got up and I started walking forward. And Nazareth, I promise you, it was like somebody was unscrewing the top of my head and pouring in more love than I had ever known in my entire life. I
Wow.
was being showered without even uttering a word because God had met me at my action. And here I am now bawling my eyes out. I mean,
Mm.
crying literally hysterically. I hadn't cried in public in 12 years,
Wow.
kept it to myself. And here I am convulsing in front of these total strangers, but feeling the feeling of love like nothing I had ever known.
Amen.
And all of a sudden, in my head, I heard these words with my voice, but in my head, I heard, I will give you a heart of flesh for a heart of stone. Little did I know it was Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26. I
Wow.
had no idea, but I heard the words with
Mm.
my voice in my head. And then it felt like somebody was ripping out my heart and putting in a new one. It actually felt like somebody was ripping it out and putting in a new one. And so
Wow.
I'm bent over, I'm crying. I'm like, what is happening to me? This is insane. What is going on? And then the minister says, who winds up becoming my spiritual father for the next 3 years, he winds up saying, son, God wants to use all the gifts and talents that he's given you for his glory. And I'm like, okay, how does he know what I do for a living? So now I'm angry at the girlfriend because I'm thinking she must have told him my
Oh,
personal
did
information.
she come
How
forward
could
too?
she did too? She recommitted her life.
Okay, and she was crying too.
Oh, yeah. So we get in the car after the service and driving. I was 2 packs of cigarettes a day back then.
Mm.
And we're driving and I'm screaming at her going, what kind of church was that? What the heck just happened to me? She's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It was this mess. And I was compelled to go back the next week.
Mm.
So I would go to New York. I was living in Boston and I was living in New York. I would go to New York. I would perform. I would be in Boston, perform, and then I was compelled to go back to this service the following week.
Mm.
I went back the next week. I went back the week after. By the fourth week, I had realized, oh, I just got born again,
Amen.
and the rest is kind of history. Well, shortly after that, I knew it was so difficult to nurture my faith in the environment that I was in because the drugs and the alcohol just flowed like water. I mean, it was just, and if you were good enough, which at the time we were,
Yeah.
you got everything for free.
For
I
free.
never paid for
Oh my lord! You know
anything.
what? I have to stop you, brother. We have so much in common. In 1992, I gave my life to Christ. I was already 3.5 years into comedy. My career was
Wow.
doing so well. Even NBC was
Wow.
doing. And you know what? Every party you're invited, you get the free stuff because you're the next guy. You're the next
Right.
big name, and not that because they love you, but because
No.
they know you're gonna help them when you get up there. So it's all, everything is free. And but the only difference is I when I came forward, I was the only guy in the church that went forward, and I was weeping. I was literally, and
Wow.
I don't cry. I was crying, and
Wow.
and I accepted Christ, and I quit comedy for a week. I quit, but when I
Wow.
came back, same thing that it's like God, the what do you call him, the deacon that was praying for me, that he's like, Lord, use his gifting for your glory. So you went back. God bless, you're a better man. You went back to the clubs, and you had to live the Christian life through that, because I
So
couldn't.
no, so no, so we were booked for the next 6 months, 6 nights a week for 6 months straight. And so I one day I realized, you know what, I can't do this anymore. The pull was like everything was coming at me as faster and more furious than ever before.
Right,
And
Satan's way
so
to kick
it
you.
was just he was just bombarding me. So I went to we performed them one night. I'll never forget it. And about 450 people went to their feet. Great night, a lot of fun. I got off the stage, and this little tiny waitress walks up to me. I'll never forget her. Blonde hair, kind of had the Billy Idol hair with the spiky blonde, and she had the Madonna gloves with the cut off fingers. I mean,
Yeah.
I can picture her standing in front of me now. This little petite thing, and out of her mouth came what sounded like Darth Vader and Freddy Krueger combined. And that wasn't obviously her speaking voice.
Yeah.
And out of her mouth came those words, "You were fantastic tonight." I ran to my car faster than I could have ever run in my life. I
Scared.
got in the car and I was shaking, convulsing from fear. I knew what I just heard and who it came from.
Yeah.
And I'm in the car and I started just crying out to God. I said, God, please tell me what you want me to do. Tell me what you want me to do. And it's funny because that night was a bikini contest that I was asked to judge.
Mm.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh. It was just like bombardment after bombardment after bombardment. So I get in the car and I say, okay, Lord, I'm done. I'm done with everything.
Mm.
And like I told you, I was about to sign on the dotted line for everything. And I told my partner, and like you said, mentioned earlier, our career depended on each other. And I said to him, I'm done unless you want to come with me. Unless you
Mm.
want to do this thing with me, I have to, I'm out. And we talked about it. We wound up, our friendship unfortunately suffered. We wound up performing for the next 6 months. And that was the end of my secular career.
And what did Barry think, your manager, at the time when you told him?
So several years later, I wound up getting a job at a hotel because or actually several months later, and about a year and a half later, I ran into him at the hotel. I was a bellman, so I went from this big shot comic to a
Uh-huh.
bellman at this hotel
I
in
had to
Boston.
go back to work. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So the next thing you know, he's standing at the front at the desk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't even believe this. So I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna walk out. So I walked up to him and I said, hey, what's happening? And Barry is like 6'4". I mean, he's a giant. And he said, hey, what's happening, Tommy? And we hugged and we talked, and um, I wound up putting his luggage, in the trunk of this taxi. And he said, so you're going to tell me that God doesn't want you to do stand up? And I
Mm.
said, I don't know if he doesn't want me to. I just know that right now I need to foster this relationship that I have with my faith. And he had just he had just started managing a club called Stitches, which no longer exists, but
I
he
remember
wound
that.
up, you remember Stitches? Yeah. So
Yeah.
And they actually did a show on A&E. There was some traveling show with um, oh gosh, David, not David Brenner. I forget, the
No.
guy was an impressionist, but anyway, so it was a traveling show, throughout the country. And this was one of the places, and so there was a lot of great stuff happening at the club. And he said, "Listen, anytime you want to go to the club and do open mic, just walk in the door. You don't have to wait in line. You don't have to." I go, "Thank you." And then I say, "I got to say one thing to you before you leave." He says, "What's that?" I said, "There's this story I heard. Elvis and Pat Boone used to cross paths back in the '50s, and Elvis one time said to Pat Boone, 'Hey man, every time I see you, you're always going away from the party.'" And Pat Boone looked at Elvis, devoted man of God, who said, "It all depends on what party you're leaving and what party you're going to." And
Mm.
Barry looked at me and he said, "I'll have to consider that." I said, "I hope you do." And,
I worked
we've
with Pat
remained,
Boone. I worked with Pat Boone a couple
is that
times.
right?
Yeah.
And
That
so
was fun.
we've been friends ever since. He's an amazing individual, and I love him dearly. But so that was the end of me. And then 6 months later, somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, would you like to share your testimony?" And I'm like, "What's a testimony?" They're like, "It's your story." I said, "I have a story." And they're
Mm.
like, "Yeah, you got a story about, your faith and your life." I'm like, I do? Wow. So I wind up sharing my testimony for the first time ever in front of 200 women at the Framingham State Women's Correctional Facility, which at the time was the only facility, it still remains the only facility in Massachusetts. Dilapidated. Nazareth, the place was falling apart. They had bad check writers with murderers. It was a mixed population. They went to their feet 6 times during my presentation.
Wow.
And this little lady comes up to me after, she goes, "Baby, whatever you did tonight, don't ever stop doing." And I've been
Amen.
doing it ever since.
Amen. Amen.
So it's always been a little bit of stand up with a whole lot of message.
Mm.
And then about 2 years ago, I really felt like God was calling me back to my Jerusalem, which is the
It's right.
game. And so I went, no, I think I'm all set, God. You might want to pick somebody else. I'm good to go. And one thing led to another. I did a women's convention. I wound up becoming dear friends with, I know you know him and love him dearly, David Pendleton.
Yes.
And we wound up hanging out for a little bit. And a little later, I did this huge women's conference here in New Hampshire and New England. And then it was quiet for about 2 years.
Mm.
And then as of February actually, I wind up traveling. I've been on 7 flights in less than 8 months, and wound up doing my dry bar in March. And
Yeah. When
then
is that coming out?
it should be out within, they're telling me probably nothing definitive. It looks like maybe a month or two, somewhere around there. They're just finishing up some of the last editing on, whatever they do, colorization and this, that, and the
Yeah.
other.
And you
But
picked the
and then
material you want in it, right? From the two shows. You did
I
two shows.
I did, yeah. I picked the first show, which was really a great event.
Me too.
Then in August, I wound up doing
Huckabee.
Huckabee,
Yeah.
and then I was in Chicago in November, and I wound up closing at Zany's in Rosemont. Tiny little audience, but
Yeah.
amazing experience. And now, as though things couldn't get any better, I'm on your podcast, buddy.
That's amazing.
Hello,
That is,
hello.
yeah, no, you know what? This is neat. I mean, we have the same journey. Mine was like immediately I went right away. I just felt the need to go to. I went to prisons. I went to youth. I stayed
Right.
away from the club. This year I did 3 clubs. I headlined 3 clubs. But that before that, it was like if you tell me how many clubs you did a year, I go once, maybe that's it. But
Yeah.
I stayed away from the clubs. And did you get ordained as a minister?
So I am credentialed through Christ for the Nations out of Dallas.
Amen, amen, amen. Yeah, so
So
it's amazing. It's amazing to to have a fellow brother comedian full time to
I,
be.
I'm blown away by your story as well, because I got to tell you something. For 32 years, I've been looking for my tribe, and I never met anyone with a story that even remotely sounded like mine till we met.
Same here. A lot of
So
people
this
that
is
either,
amazing.
yeah, either they started in the church,
Yeah,
or they were in the church, but then they went to the clubs and they're doing
right.
clubs now. It was never like, man, we gave up. We gave up this for God, and we're thankful. And have you ever? Let me ask you this: have you ever been in a point in your career where things are not happening, and you go, God, maybe I should have stayed in the clubs? Have you ever had that? Or I?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, stop it! You're making me look bad.
Of course I have. Absolutely. Absolutely. You couldn't smell sarcasm from here to
I did.
California?
I did. I was looking at the picture
You did.
behind me. Tell me about it real quick.
Oh, yeah, right there. So
Uh,
this is the laundry room and my studio. So that right
wow.
there,
What do you draw
I
with?
could
Tide? Look at me. I'm talking to
thank
a
you.
guy who
You
wanted
know
to be
what?
a
You know what?
mobster.
You know what little affirmation I get, you just removed from my existence. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Well,
it.
let
You
me
must be
encourage
from
you.
you're definitely from the Middle East. I can tell. You're a lot of
Let,
hugs and kisses. Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's really nice.
yeah, look
Yeah,
at this. This is a
right.
water bottle, okay?
It
You
doesn't look
said
like a
it.
water bottle. I can tell you
No,
what
when
it
you
does
said
look like.
Middle
It's like,
Eastern, I looked again. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. It doesn't look like a water bottle. Yeah, no.
But I won't take it on the plane with me. I'll tell you that. But hey, you were. It's funny. I'm talking to a guy
Wait,
who
hold on,
wanted
hold
to.
on. So this right here. So that's called actually Christmas morning.
That's called
So
chicken scratch.
chicken. Thank you again. I thought. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Hold on.
Oh,
All
where
right,
is Pinterest
this
when
is
you need it?
hold on. This is not chicken scratch. Ready? All right,
Mm.
you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is a good one. Are you ready
Mm-hmm.
for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Oh my! Are you serious? You did that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're amazing. That's amazing.
So that is Isaiah 52, verse 14. He was so marred beyond recognition. So that I did in 1998, 4 months, 4 months, and or 3 months and 40 hours of work.
Four
I
months
had
and
never and 30 and 40 3 months and 40 hours of work.
oh my
And
lord, that's
so
beautiful.
there were times when I didn't here's a close up. There were times when I didn't even know what or where my hand was going, um, but totally inspired by the Holy Spirit. I had never seen anything like this. And in 2000, was it 2004 when The Passion came out? I
Hmm.
finally saw what looked like what I drew. But before that, I hadn't seen anything like
Oh
it.
my
I
lord.
merely went on only the verse because there's another verse that says he was so marred that he looked horrific. And then
Mm,
another translation is he was a monster. He looked like a monster, unrecognizable.
unrecognizable. I know.
And so that for me was what brought me to my knees again and again and again.
That's a gift too. That's not just comedy and drawing. That's still behind you looks like chicken scratch, but the
Okay, have
one
a nice
behind
day.
it.
Nice talking to you. Good night, everybody. You've been a wonderful audience.
What's the other one
Wait,
behind you? What is
the one
that?
behind me. So
Yeah.
this is so that is a subway train in the middle
Mm,
of New York. That was a piece that I did. Gosh, that painting is probably about 40 years old. I did it in college. I was
wow.
majoring in art with a minor in textiles, and I was very influenced by a lot of what I had experienced as a child growing up in New Jersey, but spending a lot of time in New York City. And so,
Wow.
I messed around with a little bit of graffiti as a young kid, and then I just went, okay, you know what? I think I can translate this into. So the name of this painting is actually called "The Pain of the City." So where you see the
Wow.
expression on the train's face, and the
Mm,
screeching marks, and some of the things that I saw as a child. It wasn't. I grew up in saw New York in the early '70s, where it
Yes.
was a war zone. Times Square was a war zone. Now we go to Times Square. I take my family to Times Square, and there's Elmo wants to take pictures with you. I'm like, what is happening here?
What
This
was
is
it
not.
like? What was it? Why was it a war zone? I've never heard that before. Why was it
It
a
was
war?
just everything was out in the open.
Mm,
Everything. It was Babylon. It was
wow.
Babylon. Everything and anything you could imagine was out in the open.
Mm.
And the people at large were just doing whatever they wanted to do. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy time.
Now, when did you get married?
I got married in 2000.
2000. So you were
Yeah,
already out of the comedy a little bit, and
I was. Yep, I was out for probably about 8 years, but still doing the ministry, still doing stand up with the
at
ministry.
churches.
So still churches, colleges. I've done actually um, 50 out of the 65 colleges in Boston, from
Wow.
from Harvard to MIT to Northeastern, New England Conservatory, BC, Boston College, Boston University,
As a
with
Christian.
on as a Christian with on-campus ministries. So they
Oh,
would
oh, oh, yeah.
use me to come in to introduce the on-campus ministry. And one of the ministries that I worked with a lot back in the day was Chi Alpha, and
Kyle.
so I would go in and I would do my shtick and then introduce the ministry, and so that was an incredible opportunity as well.
Wow, this is amazing, man. I can't wait to just hang out with you, work with you,
I can't
and
either, man. So
yeah,
I got two kids too, by the way. I got two grown
yes,
kids.
yes.
My daughter's 18. My son is 16, and they're amazing, amazing kids. My
And
wife
what if
is
they
an
said,
incredible.
"I want to do comedy"? What would you say to them
What would I say to them? I would say, have fun,
in the club?
have good luck. Nice talking to you. Have a great day. Me and your mother are moving to Budapest. Nice talking.
Really,
That's
really,
it.
you would do that?
I mean, I would attempt to deter any type of that imagination. Well, you know what? Hey, maybe, hey, if they're called to do something, as you know, who are we to say anything? So my daughter is actually on her way to Hawaii to do YWAM,
Oh yeah,
Youth with a
the boat.
Mission.
I've done the
So
boat. Yeah.
she's gonna be there, and then she goes off to an undisclosed country later on. My son is in love with the thought prospect of maybe going to Liberty. Um,
Liberty.
wants to be a broadcast journalist. My daughter wants to be a baker and use the ministry as an evangelist.
Amen.
In so it's just this amazing. I blow a lot of things, but maybe every once in a while I get it right.
You know what, Tommy? My kids, especially my son, he would always tell me, "Dad, if you," because I worked with Chris Rock and Adam Sandler and Kevin James and all these guys,
Yeah.
and they go, "Dad, if you stayed in the mainstream thing, if you did not turn completely to the Christian realm, you
Mhm.
probably would have, been so famous right now and have your own stuff." And I go, "Yeah, but I probably would visit you twice a month. I would be I would be in a rehab. I could not imagine what would my life would be, because Satan wants you to come. He comes to you and
Right.
say, "Oh, if you stayed, yeah, I mean, look at you. You would have
Right.
been so rich. You would have done all this."
Right.
But then you go, "Wait a minute. I just, you know, I just I just had this last week. I've seen more than, you know, 20, 30 people come to Christ first time.
Wow.
And like
Wow.
after a comedy concert. And
That's amazing.
I go, wait a minute, how much price can you put on that? Or you're
You
encouraging, like
cannot.
you go to, we go to
Yeah.
prison, you go to prison and you encourage these women, or you go to
Mhm.
and you share their testimony. You change lives. One time I was listening
Yeah.
to Leno, and Leno said, what do you call it? Leno said, he said he's at a place after all these years of doing, the Tonight
Mhm.
Show and all that, that he can feel he can influence people's lives. And I'm going, wait,
Wow.
we've been doing that as Christian comics since the day God took us out. And I thought
Right.
he doesn't want us to be a comedian. I thought I'll go back to tax accounting or to what I was doing
Yeah.
before. But no, he wants us to do what he gave us. And I really love what you're doing, man. I really, we should, the next Laughter for All, if you're in the area or close to California,
Oh
I
my
would love
gosh.
to have
Would
you
love
over.
to. I would love to be together. That would
Yeah,
be
tell us
amazing.
how can people get a hold of you to book you to bring you to their church, to their company, to their meeting, to their women's convention, to their retreats?
Yeah.
How can they get a hold
So
of you?
it's a little embarrassing, but I'm going to say it. I'm about to say
Don't
what I'm
don't
about to say.
don't
Are you
drop the
ready?
AOL.
I
Don't
am.
drop the AOL.
I'm dropping it. I am dropping.
No, 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 no. That's mine. That's
I
mine.
no. I'm. That's all I have. So I am. I'm on LinkedIn, which my daughter continues to inform me no one is on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. So
You're
if you
on
go to
LinkedIn.
Tommy Moore, if you go to Tommy Morin, comedian Tommy Morin, you'll find me on LinkedIn, and then all my information is there, and some videos. I think I got videos. I'm not sure, but most of my information is there.
So why aren't you on the other format, other platforms?
You know what? We talked about it a long time ago as a family, and I know for me, it would be the next addiction. It
Mm,
would be I would be hooked. I know I would be because I know me. I know my personality. As it
yeah,
is now,
we're
I'm on.
addictive
I'm
personality.
as it is now. I'm looking up LinkedIn daily. Nothing changes. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't want change, LinkedIn would be
No,
your.
nothing. No, nothing changes. I'm just like looking it up, going, "Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is." And um, so that's the number one reason. And believe me when I tell you, I have been bombarded with people telling me, "Dude, you need to go on social media.
Mm.
You need to go on social media." Like as soon as I did Dry Bar, now's the time. Drop everything, get on social media. And I had people coming to me saying, "Listen, if you can't handle the finances, we'll pay for it. Like big money to pay for the social media." And I'm like, I can't. I can't. I
I'll
just
tell you
can't.
what. I'll tell you what. I have a social media guy that works for me, and
Mm,
most of the time, the only time I get on social, I don't get on social media to look at what other people are doing. I get on social media to see where we at or to put stuff, and we put it in,
yeah,
and just so we can. So it is a tool. It's a marketing tool for
I
your
know it
own.
is. I
I
know
mean,
it
you're
is.
too funny and too great and too inspirational to be able to be not allow people to have that access to you.
Yeah, I
So
know.
you have a
Well,
website, right?
no.
Where's Barry Cats when you need them, man?
Oh my gosh, he has been encouraging me like you would not believe to do it all because he has people that he works with
We'll
that
do
do
all
it
that for you.
very they do it so well, like the best you've ever seen.
You have a
And
16-year-old
so
at home. Just pay him to
yeah,
do it for you.
my son's about 5'11", football player, quarterback for his school,
Wow.
and yeah, he's a great kid.
Yeah.
So
One of his friends, you pay him $10 an hour, and what they do is they will start that thing for you so
$10
you
a
run it.
what is it? What is it? 1922, and he's delivering newspapers. $10 an hour. What is that? What is he gonna do?
The first hour, and then it's 20 the next hour, and then 30 the Man, I sounded cheap. It's funny. I'm talking to a guy who wanted to be a mobster, and I'm sipping water like this. Mm.
I, know- from what looks like not a thermos.
It's not. It
It,
does not look
it's
like it. Sometimes I
no.
get scared. That's why I don't hold
It
it for
looks
too
like
much.
it looks like I could strap it underneath a car and then have the
I.
car disappear.
That's
It
why I
looks
don't hold it for too
you
long.
you
Hey,
could
it
just
takes one to know
strap.
one. How you doing? Uh, let me get some of the
Folks, last
comments.
night I bombed. It was horrible. Anyway,
Michelle Van Dusen, thank you. She's a fellow comedian with
oh
the.
Michelle, I did her podcast not too
Oh
long
yeah,
ago.
she said, she loves your testimony. Then there's a guy, PF, powerful conversation. God is good. Thank you, brother. He said, "Is Pastor Funny podcast or Larry Goodell?" Oh, Larry. Hi, Larry. chatted with you during the lockdown. Blessing, brother Nazareth. Thank you. Thank you. So good, good encouragement. We have about 59 people that were watching live. So thank you guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
all right.
So go to LinkedIn and find Tommy Moran, the Manic
I love
Hispanic.
when you say my by the way, I love when you say my last name
Yeah.
because it sounds like I'm in the middle of a French restaurant right outside of
Yeah.
Paris.
Tommy Moran with the white
Tommy
one and the
Morin,
gray.
Tommy Morin,
Tommy
Tommy Morin,
Moran.
Tommy
Yeah.
Morin, Tommy Morin, Tommy Morin.
Yeah. No, no,
Oh.
that's not. That's Jewish. I'm not Jewish. That's funny. Listen, brother. Thank you
Tommy
so much.
Tommy Morin.
Tommy Moran. Oh, not Moran.
Oh, you crushed it. That was
Yeah.
it.
Morin. Oh, Tommy
Morin.
Morin. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Guys, please. You want a funny guy that can share the gospel and can encourage you and inspire you? Call me. But if
Otherwise, if you've got extra luggage that you need fitted carefully in the back of a taxi,
for ten
call me.
dollars an hour.
For $10 an hour, call me. I'm right here.
No,
I'm right
no,
here.
really. Go to Tommy Moran. If you're in the East Coast, you need a comedian. You're in New York, Boston, all that area, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Jersey. This is the man for you. So please, thank you. Hang on, brother. 1 second. Let me close the show.
Absolutely.
This
Yeah,
is
sure.
awesome. I can go for another 2 hours talking to
Oh
you.
my gosh. I'm so sorry that I long winded? Was I a little hot
No,
air?
no, 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 no. We don't have a
Okay.
limit. But yeah, I would love to talk more. But let me close
Okay.
this. All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Amazing guy, amazing. It's so much in common, and I'm just mesmerized by his story and his life and how God has touched his life. And you really need that in your church, your men's group, guys. If you have a men's conference or something, Tommy Moran. If you can't get a hold of him, call me, text me, message me. I'll get you on hold of him on LinkedIn or wherever. I have his number. I'll get to him. But anyway, really, really encourage you guys to get him. Um, Also, okay, this what's going on Thursday morning? I'm gonna be doing something for the Orange County Rescue Mission again. I'm doing their staff Christmas party, just donating our time to do that for them. And then on Friday morning, I will be at uh, America's Christian Credit Union Christmas breakfast. I'm doing that for them, a breakfast for the bank. And then New Year's Eve, I will be at Calvary Chapel of the Chino Valley with David Rosales, Pastor David Rosales, Calvary Chapel of the Chino Valley, not the other Chino. So, anyway, just check out my website and we'll see you there. Thank you guys. Love you. Follow us on Instagram under Comedian Nazareth or follow us on YouTube. YouTube, I'm trying to hit 50,000 before the end of the year if we can. So if you go and subscribe, I know you watch me, you listen to me, but can you subscribe, please? I'm trying to hit 50,000. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great. Oh, this is our last show for the year. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Love you guys. Thank you for